Hi, my name is Jacob McNulty's, and I'm actually recording this video because I spoke with Apostle Daniel this afternoon, and he asked me if I can record a short video to present the project or present the ministry and the vision that we have for Europe. So, and this is the first time I'm addressing two pastors and leaders through the video. And I'm believing that behind this camera, somebody is going to sit and be a part of this conversation. So I'm going to pretend that you are in my house and we are having a nice fellowship. So you're welcome to my home. I'm in Daytona Beach, Florida, and it's very hot. And it's beautiful weather outside. Let me invite you. I'm here in my house. And I hope summer is coming to Europe, but here in Daytona Beach, Florida, it's nice, sunny, and beautiful. So, welcome to Florida, and welcome to my house. So, I'm gonna pretend that you're guests in my house, and we're gonna just sit and relax and have a beautiful conversation. Let's make it casual. I'm not officially dressed today, but I really want to share something important that the ministry, McNulty's Ministries, has in their hearts. Again, my name is Jacob, and it's a great honor and privilege to talk to you today. And I believe that through this video conversation, I still can bring the message or the idea, because God always works through ideas. You know, God had an idea, and He make that idea into reality. So when God wants to do something important on this earth, He gives the idea. And unfortunately, God cannot do anything unless if He does it through people, through us. And sometimes God uses people like me and you. We're not important. We're just an average people probably on this earth. But like T.L. Osborne said, if God would have smart people, He would use them. So all He has is us. So, and you are listening me today, and it's a great opportunity to address and share this vision with you, dear pastors and leaders. Again, I represent the ministry of Drs. Kevin and Leslie McNulty. Drs. Kevin and Leslie McNulty, they are evangelists, missionary evangelists, travel all over the world, over 30 years, and now it's over 60 nations, 60 plus nations around the world. And their passion is evangelism. Their passion is nations. Their passion is helping people. So every country they go, any place they go, they want to help people. So about 2 years ago, they've started talking about Europe. You know, they have launched the 10th evangelism project in Russia and on the territory of former Soviet nations. They've launched this very successful project, which they call 110th Project. Basically, it's 100 gospel tents, big tents, like small and big tents, let's say this way. The smallest tent probably is for 300 people, and the largest tent we had for 5,000 people. So we basically set up those tents around the Russia and former Soviet nations. And we've conducted evangelism in different cities and countries of Eurasia. So, and today they've started that meeting, that first tent in 1998 with one tent, and today the ministry is running over 80 tents and very, very close to 100 tents today. And the evangelists and their teams, they scatter all over. They take their tents, they go to city, from village to village, and they're reaching people, and the churches are growing, the healings are happening, and people are getting saved, and God is doing His work. And again, He's doing His work through His people. And today, when we were focusing on our next step, uh, God have told us to pay attention to Europe. Uh, and why Europe? Why Europe? You are successful evangelists there. You're successful leaders. You have a very successful churches. Europe has a great history of Christianity, and actually, the nations that gave gospel to the world. So why, or what can we do, or what can McNulty's do to help Europe? They always said to me, they're always saying this: if we can bring something, not big, but something what we have, and with the little thing that we have, if we can somehow help you to in your work that you already have launched, in the places that you already work, if we can do something to help you, we will be happy. So, and God is telling them today, go to Europe. And when we start praying about Europe, that was about a year ago, when we really start focusing on Europe and praying, and we have every week, every Thursday, we have a special prayer meeting, and we're praying for nations and praying for Europe. God started talking to us about Belgium. And when we ask why Belgium, God have told us that Belgium is a door to Europe. So that's why about a month ago I decided to take a trip. I came to Brussels and Antwerp and met with leaders and pastors, met with Apostle Daniel, met with Pastor Daniel Constanza, Pastor Kuhn, and Pastor Eugenia, and some other pastors and leaders, different churches and denominations. I had this chance and opportunity to share about this vision of bringing tents to Belgium. Basically, the idea that we have launched, Dr. McNulty's launched there in Russia, we believe that those tents, those gospel tents, can help also, can help in Europe. So when I came and we were start thinking about this idea, how we can share this, another thing that God have put in our hearts in our ministry, I'm talking about McNulty's ministry, is to train evangelists, to train leaders, to train young evangelists. Because our goal is not to come and bring some big tent, conduct a big crusade, make a big noise, leave a big mess after us, and just leave, and then you do the rest. No, we don't want to do that because you are successful. You are successful leaders and pastors. You are successful evangelists, and you do your work. So what McNulty's would like to do is to present actually the idea of evangelism and make it simple enough that you and your leaders and people from your churches can duplicate the same thing. Dr. T.L. Osborne used to say this: I'm a simple man, I'm a farmer. If God can do this through me, he can definitely do it through you. God is not looking for some unique or special people. God is looking for special hearts, people who are open. And it's not our talents that makes us successful. It's God who lives in us, makes us successful. And he wants us to be successful. He wants us to be able to communicate the good news to the world, because that's the assignment that he gave us today. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the connection with T.L. Osborne, about the legacy of T.L. Osborne, because I know that many of you behind this camera, you are familiar with this name. T.L. Osborne is a man of God, and he changed the world. He really changed the world and nations. And I've been in places like Africa, in places like India, and people know him. And they know him as a person who brought the gospel. And he known as a father of evangelism for many, many, many nations. So in 1990, that was 1995, T.L. Osborne first time came to Russia. And I was a pastor of a small church at that time. That was what, like over 20 years ago, yeah. So when he first time came to Russia, and he conducted this conference in Moscow, people, when they were listening to him, they were amazed of the simplicity of the gospel and simplicity of the message that he brought. And he were able to enable the leaders and make them strong, believe into themselves. And at that time, he was kind of challenging pastors because they had a problem in Russia with the rent, having a church buildings. They didn't have a places to gather. You know, they have to switch buildings, and they always have to run from one place to the other place. And T.L. Osborne said, hey, just put a tent. Just set up a tent and preach in a tent, like in the early days of evangelism here in America. And when he brought that challenge, McNulty's, Dr. McNulty's, that was a confirmation from them because they were believing for a tent. And they were very excited. They came to T.L. Osborne and they said, hey, T.L. Osborne, we want to put a tent, we want to buy a tent, we want to run with the tent and reach Russia. And T.L. Osborne was smiling and telling them, hey, this is not God. Not God? What do you mean, T.L. Osborne? You just challenged all those leaders and pastors to go and buy a tent. He said, hey, McNulty's, how many villages, how many cities, how many regions, how many oblasts there in Russia? So they went the next day, they've done their homework, they came to T.L. Osborne and they said, there's about 100 regions in Russia. And then T.L. Osborne smiled to them and said, this vision is big enough for God now to be involved. So that's how the idea of 110 Project came. And they've launched this project in 1998 with one tent, and as I said, we have over 75 tents today, crossing all over Eurasia and reaching cities and villages. And T.L. Osborne, when he came in 1996, that was exactly the year when Daisy died, her precious wife. And Dr. Daisy would always conduct or organize T.L.'s crusades. She was the only one. She would go before T.L. Osborne and she would organize her crusades. So, Dr. T.L. Osborne asked McNulty's if they can help him because he was committed to 10 nations of French Africa. So, and he said, I want to help France and I want to help Europe, but I want to go to French Africa and challenge leaders and pastors and people, believers in French Africa to go to France. So, and Dr. T.L. Osborne took the challenge of reaching 10 nations of French Africa. And he asked McNulty's if they can help him. So, and then from that day and forward, Dr. McNulty starts working with T.L. Osborne. And they worked with T.L. Osborne over 16 years. And I would say they were probably the only people who would stay on the platform to preach on the same platform with T.L. Osborne in the past 16 years. And the last crusade that they have conducted with T.L. Osborne was in 2011 in India. So, and that's a 16 years of experience, of raw evangelism experience for Dr. McNulty's. So, and they took that challenge. They traveled with T.L. Osborne to those nations. They've set up his crusades, not only in Africa, actually, in